Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. So again, yesterday we did this one transmission from the Lyrans and Arcturians about the growing Lionsgate portal. And what does that exactly mean, as well as changes in our consciousness and also in our bodies. This was on Heart's Home and also on Patreon.
It was a fun one, and I don't know about you guys, but I spent yesterday kind of wide open for transmission. It was crazy.
A lot of craziness in this world. I'll take Cindy's craziness any day. Again, we want to thank everybody that's supporting us on Patreon, which gets exclusive videos. 333 members at that level. Exclusive videos multiple times each week. And again, we could go a little deeper into the dives over there. Here you see another bridge collapse in China. Shoddy construction. Well, there's been a lot of flooding around the world, all around the world. In fact, I think it's like what has happened in the past. We're watching it happen real time, and we're seeing, again, I've used the term mud flood because I am convinced that we are in another period that will be equated with mud floods. Because there is a lot more water underneath, locked up in the surface of the crust that's being brought up to the surface of the planet than there is in the oceans. They say, again, 3 times as much water inside the crust than is in the oceans. And I think there's technology that can trigger it. And because we say that, then we get very, very stifled. If we just simply say, oh, it's just a natural cycle, nothing to see. It happens all the time, every 12,000 years. Then the algorithms would be okay with us, but they're not. And this is just part of, the system that we're in. So this one is in Guizhou. Natural collapse. Is there such a thing as a natural collapse? I mean, this is, again, how systems try to cover things up. And it's weird. I was thinking about Monk's Corner. Because at one time I was actually considering a house that was over there. Monk's Corner is in South Carolina. It's a good hour away, maybe a little bit more than an hour away from Charleston. But it's an area where you can find still probably some fairly affordable houses. Yet you could see a river runs by. In these times, there again, this is what we are facing, and there's always a reason why higher self has guided me to keep moving and not get too attached to any one location, because in these times, I don't think we can be too attached to any one location. And just be aware of that, as we've seen so many migrant immigrants moving from place to place in this world, geopolitical reasons, but also these earth change reasons, which again may have a very strong technological component to it. But I think it just again says we need to be flexible. We need to be able to roll with the punches per se as the system does its thing and Mother Nature responds.
I know. This was a river runs by it, but all I can think of is a river is running more like through it. And that's definitely not a romantic or fun thing to have at that house. That's crazy. That's scary stuff when your whole livelihood is tied up into the water and you have no control.
And back to China. Look at all these cars buried and think of the force that it takes. The strength of the water to pile cars like that. And we have seen this time and time again since 2017. And it really seems like pre-August 2017, something like this was, just bizarre. And we really didn't see it certainly not on a regular basis. There's been crazy events. Again, Fukushima was 2011. And in fact, when you go throughout history, you will find these events do occur. But everything just seems to have sped up to such a high degree since 2017. And I do feel, as I made the statement yesterday, I do feel that there is a cycle or a stage in this cycle that kind of concludes this year, and then there's another phase that begins next year.
Yeah, this is really horrible. You saw that guy with the shovel checking every step that he takes, and then there's other people walking down the street, just walking down the street, not real worried about it. And then we have this over in Washington, D.C. Yikes.
Well, there's a big shelf cloud there. Actually, there's been shelf clouds spotted in Nebraska, Oklahoma, Myrtle Beach area, all over lately. And we've obviously had some serious storms with Debbie rolling by and all, or actually stalling. But yes, in D.C. right now, you have a tornado warning up. And, just be aware, again, we need to always be aware of what the weather's doing, because it could change so quickly in these times, and the fact that people recognize in ever-increasing numbers the technological component, looking at radar signatures. People like Dutch Sense has been pointing this out a lot for a long time. So many people have, and yet we still have to keep working hard to awaken the population as a whole. Maui's been through a lot, and now the FBI is warning the people of Maui about literal bombs that are being placed around the island. 1 year anniversary of the fire that burned down the town of Lahaina, killing 100 plus people. Yeah, my God, why does that seem like 10 years ago now? There's been so many events. That's the thing, time is relative. It is so relative. So now they're worrying about explosive devices planted. They found them in Kahului, and Pukalani. Very curious to say the least. And it was interesting that they had a pyramid burning up in the background there. There's 5 million euros in cash discovered in the back of a Porsche Cayenne belonging to a Ukrainian Minister of Defense official, our taxpayer money. Well, we understand all the purchases that have been done by Zelensky's wife and other officials as, the world wakes up to the fact that, war is extremely profitable. It allows you to money launder. It allows you to wipe away history. It allows you to do all sorts of things because, again, when you're in a war situation, all the normal checks and balances, and just even people walking about being able to observe things happening, all that stops. And it allows the system to just, do a deep scrubbing and at the same time make it profitable.
Oh, it's nauseating. It's just so nauseating, that system. Everything about it, how it functions, how they stay afloat, the lies that they tell, the depths of yuckiness that they can reach, and it just keeps going on and on.
So they say that Iran will refrain from attacking Israel in exchange for a truce in Gaza. The Iranian president said yesterday a truce must be reached in Gaza. U.S., Qatar, and Egypt all call for a truce. Today, the French president also wrote that the war in Gaza must stop. Oh, there were some very, very telling photos of that French president with some people that were, obviously, he was feeling very affectionate about. I won't post them. Yeah, everything that we see is just an illusion. So Iran is ready to accept a truce in Hamas-ruled Gaza in exchange for calming the situation. When they say peace, there you go, right? So, obviously, this world is one messed up system, to say the least. It is under the operation of a messed up system that definitely doesn't value life. That's just the reality. It does value profits, though. Angola becomes the first African country to outlaw Islam. More than 60 mosques have already been demolished for being built without permission. Texas is working to ban Sharia law as well. There's a lot of pushback, but what it is that there's just a division. The division has been done intentionally, and still the masses fall for it for the greater part. Even though the awakening is happening, we're still in the minority. And what this triggered in my mind was all the destruction that Islam did of other relics of our past. So it's well known that these different groups like Al-Qaeda and all the others that have come over time have gone and blown up things that would have given us more clues as to the real history on the planet, because the real history is always being scrubbed away. These wars are perfect opportunities to go in and destroy artifacts that would get us questioning things. There's still so much out there that we can question. And one thing we could say is, why do they keep naming things after either dinosaurs, reptiles, or Olympian gods or Sumerian gods? Again, the Enlil weather satellite. Here you have Elon Musk. He's really fond of lizards. He really is. He's very fond of reptilians. Raptor 1, Raptor 2, Raptor 3, and they almost look like Transformers to me. It's kind of crazy. And then again, Draco, Dragon. What's up, Elon? What's really up there? We know. Now, here you have somebody that's supposed to be Princess Kate Middleton wearing a hijab or something that looks similar to that. It's curious. He shakes. Is it just because she's a woman and he wouldn't shake her hand, or is he afraid of catching something? It's just weird. Now, she's said to be 5'9". He's said to be 6'3". She must be wearing very, very high heels, because she looks more like she's 6'1" or 6'2". And then again, we wonder, in this world, is it even her? Which version of her is it? And again, Kate Middleton had that long sickness, which she is working to get over, they say. This is the Black Pyramid of Dashur, Egypt. Official history dates it back to 1860. Called the Black Pyramid because of the lack of knowledge about the true history of the Earth. Now, this is weird because, to me, there's a metallic component to this. And this looks like something was launched or hit it straight on and is on top of it to me. I don't know if that's the case or not, but, it's very curious. There are a lot of different leftover relics, let's just say, that show there's been massive scale war on a level that we don't really comprehend. And so I had commented on this one about the fact that the Mahabharata talks of a war happening that took 1.3 billion lives, and also there was weaponry used that would equate to the light of 10,000 suns is how it's described. That was part of the battle with what we will call the Martian takeover, the Nibiruan takeover of Earth. It was vast. And again, at a time where the history books will tell us maybe there was 100 million people on the planet, 1.3 billion people died in this one particular battle in this war. Oh, it's very curious. You have all these different pyramidal structures. Now, the pyramids, from what we've gotten, you could really thank the people from Sirius for the pyramids. And this goes back really to when Earth was recreated from the destruction of Tiamat. And, again, there's been a real concerted effort to hide our true history. And, this is the Benben pyramid. What is the Benben stone? And, again, the pyramidal structure draws energy. What we've gotten is that the pyramids are really all about holding the earth together in so many ways. Coincidentally, they're on ley lines and they're on significant energy points. And so, they have a positive purpose. But with the takeover of the planet by the dark system, they've waylaid all the technology. and they utilize it for different reasons. Now, the Benben stone is an object found in the mythology of ancient Egypt, stone with conical shape. According to some theorists, it may be of extraterrestrial origin. Well, yeah. Again, this planet Earth that we are living on was really, again, the remnant of Tiamat, which was a much, much bigger planet. When we see things that are literally dating to billions of years old, metallic spheres and so many other anomalous objects, and then the true giants, I mean the gigantic giants that would be the size of mountains, all that is going back to the time when it was Tiamat and not Earth, before the recreation of Earth from Tiamat, which in dating it again, time is something that is not set. It's not set. It's literally something that can change, and it does change by each yuga. It changes the relativity of it. So it's fascinating to see these things and have them all be equated in different ways. And again, you'll have some that equate the Egyptian gods with the Anunnaki gods, and no, that's not the same. And again, all these gods, what we're really talking about is extraterrestrial and interdimensional beings.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this stuff that we're looking at is absolutely breathtaking. How do they get these carvings in this stone? And so long ago, if all they had was just chisels and hammers. Why is this not brought more to the forefront? Why are more people not asking questions? I wish they would. You know, these are works of art that really have no complete understanding about how they can be, and so long ago too. If our history is correct, there's just too many things that absolutely do not add up. And I gotta wonder, when are people gonna start demanding more answers, more clarity, more understanding about our history? Yesterday I spent a long time just completely wide open to receive information coming in from the Lionsgate portal. And you know, I'm feeling that happened to a lot of other people, and it's just going to make people want to understand where they are from. What are they about? What is going on here? You know, reprioritize our history. Really understand who we are. I think that would give us a leg up with a lot of things.
Yeah, and there's a real clue right here. So, you know, you see it says, according to legend, Benben was the mound that arose from the primordial waters of Nu, in which the creator god Atum, known as Atum Ra, and then Ra, you know, what they do and what they've done is, again, a lot of the names are actually sort of titles. And it's interesting. It was a big revelation to me in reading the Hindu scriptures, where it talked about the fact that, you know, for instance, in this age, the creator god of the material universe is known as Brahma, which again comes out of the navel of Vishnu. When Vishnu, you know, awakens, Brahma comes out of his navel. And again, these are kind of, it's allegory, but it's giving you some sort of conceptualization in a human personalization of the process. And then Brahma creates, and Vishnu is thought to be the sustainer. And then when it's time, Shiva comes, washes it all away, and then it happens all over again after a nap by Vishnu, so to speak. You know, it's a cycle. It's an ebb and flow. But what happens is that these beings are transposed one upon the other. So when you look at Atum, or and then becoming Atum Ra, and then just Ra, according to this, a lot of what we have is actually backwards too. It's inverse. Atum, you know, and when we look at different ways of saying it, again, depending on the area that you're at, you'll have Amun, and which becomes Amen. And, you know, this is how things are transformed over time from the original meaning. And this is also why people do get confused and then start to think that, well, Shiva is Poseidon, which is Enki. No, that's not even close. But if you're only looking at it with what we've been given by the modern experts, which are all working for the system, then you're not going to really get it. You're not really going to get it. And I think, again, in this age now where people are starting to channel more and more, it's sorting through the channeling for those that aren't at that level yet in their own meditations. Develop your intuition, because your intuition and learn to listen to your intuition is going to be your Rosetta Stone for understanding things. Yes, absolutely. They have jumbled these beings one upon the other, and they've distorted it, because we've started to realize that, wait a minute, these are really talking about beings, aren't they? Yes, they are talking about beings. Because again, even though the creator of this universe is a very, very, very powerful force, so to speak, or uses powerful forces of nature to do creation, it is a being. It's a being. It is an individual unit of consciousness comprised of multiple units of consciousness. That is doing the creating. And the reality is, what's the difference between that which we would call the soul of the creator of this universe and ourselves? Well, in essence, it's the same. It truly is the same. The difference is maybe millions of lifetimes, and more than that, it could be billions of lifetimes and vast eons of times of growth and understanding and incarnation. To get to the point where you can actually, start to create universes yourself. I mean, we are always creating our own world.
Mm-hmm. And this is interesting, because while I was looking at it, sometimes I get hit with information and sometimes I don't. But when I was looking at this one, the information that came in, that it is a birthing stone or a birthing rock. It has something to do with coming from one world to the next, just like a baby would come from the womb into this world. So this is something that transports people. At one time and point, it was very highly regarded, something that we would perceive to be very, very magical, but really it brought people from different planetary systems, from the stars into this world, and from this world back to stars. This is a really amazing, beautiful rock. It's cool.
For most of our history, we have been interacting openly with extraterrestrial and interdimensional beings. It's only in the dark Kali Yuga period that all that has been completely covered up.
It has. And we're starting to wake up once again. We're starting to remember who we are. And that's that natural inkling to push for answers and to push for truth. And many of you going through this process, it is kind of like a birthing process. It has to happen. Maybe you've tried to shove it down and just ignore it, but you can't. You have to allow that information to come up and out, and you got to process it. You have different past lives. You have ancestors. You have a whole spirit team that is pushing on you, saying, hey, it's time to do this. Let's do this. We got your back. It's really an amazing time for a lot of people.
And we see a lot of these amazing pieces of antiquity with these doorways that don't really fully open, but they do lead to somewhere, because this is another one that Cindy was looking at one point in time, and getting it, if I'm remembering correctly, this was also a portal.
Yeah. These things are, the doorways are definitely portals. They use the stone. Now, the stone is pretty amazing. When you get around rock and water, or very hard stone and water, there's a lot of things that can happen, a lot of things that can change when the ether is in a certain place, because different yugas carry different etheric realms with them, and different technologies using stone, and it's all revolved around stone. Little different types of stone can basically beam people up and take people back to their star planet, bring people from another planet into this planet. And during the silver, what I'm picking up is during the silver and the golden ages, there's more compatibility with the etheric realm around us to support different people from different star systems and different planets.
Absolutely. Now, we have seen for ourselves in a worse state of disrepair, very similar to this in Nevada, and very close to where we were living in the Amargosa Valley area. We have seen structures like this that appear to be just like one more stage of melting, very close again to Nellis Air Force Base. And they put their bases over spots that are very beneficial to them, like inner earth areas where you can go inside and see all sorts of ruins that would just give everything away. But there's still so much to cover up, and there's still things that we can piece together ourselves. I don't know how much concrete I've seen lying around in ruins in the desert area, especially in Nevada, but also in Arizona and also in New Mexico. But it seemed like more really in Nevada and over into the California desert. Clearly some sort of concrete, absolutely something that is not a solid form of rock. And they will tell you this is a cave church, Byzantine area. This is in the Phrygian Valley in Turkey. And again, Turkey is loaded. So is Georgia. So is Armenia. That whole area over there. This is where a lot of people did survive the Younger Dryas cataclysm by going inside the earth. And some, at the guidance of these beings like the ant people that we've talked about, and other extraterrestrials and inner earth beings, helping some humans out by showing them the way and how to hang out until all the chaos is over and then come back out. Same thing happened over in the Four Corners area and over around the Grand Canyon. It was an area where they could basically just simply survive until it was time to go ahead and repopulate and live on the surface. Now they'll say this was just it's just used as a cave church. Well, again, that's what was used for in later times. As you see all these monuments, they're all over the place. Some areas have more than others, but they are everywhere. And anywhere you start digging, you might find something that is really, really amazing. This one is talking about what happened to the Indus Valley civilization. Well, the Indus Valley civilization, in my mind, was part of the old system that was the benevolent system that was living in harmony with nature. It was eradicated by that which we call the Sumerian, which is really the draconian system, which went from one place to another, and it's still doing it. It's still asserting its power on Earth, and you have all these relics like this. You might think, what is that? Well, most of it's buried under the ground because, again, these mud floods happen on a regular basis. Liquefaction, everything will sink on down, and then everything comes back into a period of solidity. I do think that it's perhaps the latter part of this year that starts more massive migrations on the planet than we've seen to this point. And boy, we've seen massive migrations on this planet, have we not? So it's interesting, the Phrygian people, and there's so many, the Phoenicians are another interesting group, as you see as this decides to start to play there. Okay, well, I'm just getting rid of it because it's being annoying. But it was showing a mother goddess there, a very obese mother goddess, but that's showing fertility. And you have the impossible caves of Ajanta. And this is, again, in an area that was predominantly Buddhist. But again, what really is the origins of Buddhism? Because we've seen a lot of articles that have referenced the fact that you found things like this again in the Grand Canyon area. And this is showing it was a global civilization that created these things. Who in their right mind would think that all this all around the world was created with hand and chisel? I don't think so. And again, so much of it's been buried deep under the earth. Oh, no. Again, it's just an attempt to hide the grandeur of the civilization that came before the dark system that's been in place for all of our lives.
Mm-hmm. I really think it's a beautiful thing when the earth is reforming herself and they call in what I've called the superconscience, that so many different beings came from so many different star systems to bring about and help kind of reboot, restart, replant Earth and help her take form, not just like in a physical way, but also in the way of understanding. It's like, what is Earth about? And she really is this melting pot of so many different belief systems, so many different beings, so many different understandings. Take your pick. There's really no reason to have to find a religion and stick with it when there's so many to learn from, and each one, they all have goodness to them. They all have information that can add benefit to your life. I do take the good because there's truth in all of them. And then I create Cindy's religion. And that's just what I've done. It's for me. It fits me.
And again, just like we see all around the world, why depict one statue so much bigger than the others? And it's a reference to the fact that there were many giants or giant races there. When you see this is in Peru. Cindy was picking up that, yes, there is a process by which these stones can be sort of unmade and then remade.
Well, what I'm picking up is there's like a softening of the stone. They do something to change the molecular structure, and it makes it just soft enough to kind of connect and create itself, but not so soft that it's just going to turn into a pile of muck. And again, this has to do with the etheric realm that changes through the Yugas. You can do a lot more. Now, I don't think we're super far off from that. I think we're finding some amazing technologies that can do some really earth-shattering things. And maybe back on that path of finding out how to do these things again.
Absolutely. There's been so much disclosure. As you see, this is Bob Lazar, an old interview with Joe Rogan, who has endorsed RFK Jr., by the way. And here he's talking about the paperwork, which mentions that one of the UFOs that they had salvaged was from the Zeta Reticuli star system, which is 39 light years away. So how could they how can they get here by going through quote unquote space? Again, space is more like a liquid than it is a vacuum. And yes, I think that they do distort the distances. They want to make it seem impossible that extraterrestrials could come here until it becomes the point in time when they show the world that there are extraterrestrials. And then, when they're ready for that, then they'll give you the official narrative for everybody to follow. But meanwhile, going back to this, there was some paperwork that indicated that this particular UFO was from Zeta Reticuli star system. How they obtained that, I haven't the slightest idea. It was just from the Zeta Reticuli star system. It was what they called ZR3. It was the third planet in the star system. There was no other information about it other than it's supposedly where the craft came from. In 1961, Betty Hill drew a map of the Zeta Reticuli star system after her alleged alien abduction. Even though she had no knowledge of astronomy, the map she drew included a third planet that doesn't exist in that star system, and that's where the aliens told her they were from. This is similar to the information and documents that Bob Lazar reportedly saw when he worked at Area 51. According to the documents, the alien craft supposedly originated from a third planet in the Zeta Reticuli star system. So, it's just interesting, but recognizing, of course, that portals, wormholes, stargates, they're regularly used by ETs. And in fact, the sun itself we've talked about how when you look at all the suns, which, again, the stars are suns, they are part of a neural network, and they are connected, and yes, they are portals, so they can also come through, and many times we've seen photos of what looks to be some sort of craft either parked and drawing energy from the sun, or appearing, coming into, going into, and coming out of. When you see what they've shown us to be certain comets that dive into the sun and destroy themselves. Are they really destroying themselves, or are they simply jumping into another location using the sun as a portal? Sometimes maybe there's both going on.
I know. I mean, it's pretty mind-boggling to really take it all in and bring understanding to it. But this information is getting out to more and more people, and I don't think people are bouncing it back as often. I think they're allowing it to sit with their energy field and say, well, maybe there is something to this. Sometimes those pills are just a little too jagged to swallow at first. But once they hit somebody's energy field and they have a minute to think about it, where their defenses are down and they're not feeling like this is impossible, and they just ponder it, they start to feel and sense the truth in it.
Yeah, and there's, again, so many different forms of grays out there. Some are completely fabricated and created here on Earth. Some are hybrid technology. Some are, part AI and part mechanical, and also part literal flesh. Usually they use, again, the DNA and genetic material that they get from the cows with the cow mutilations. Sometimes they do take material from people and utilize that too. This has to be from another world. That's what this says. Well, it kind of looks like that, doesn't it? Well, the reality is everything you see on Earth is from another world, because, Earth was the destroyed planet Tiamat, and, you had all these souls that no longer were able to incarnate and experience a 3D existence. And so they had to bring life here. And this is the second creation that's in the Bible. Again, some people have noticed that there's two creation stories in the Bible. Well, yeah, the recreation, again, of life on Earth was done by the Galactic Federation with the super consciousness, utilizing the consciousness that connects us all. It was like there was this call that went out throughout the galaxy that, so many souls lost their vehicles for exploration, and that's what we do in the 3D. We're exploring, and we are consciousness itself, which can't be created or destroyed. We always have been. We always were. But yeah, what you had was a response to that from all over, many, many different planets, many different star systems, all different forms of life. And so in so many ways, the Earth is super special because, you have a myriad of different life forms that have come here from all over. And the system tries to eradicate certain forms of life that is uncontrollable and replace it with controllable versions.
I know, as we're watching this thing here, and it looks pretty scary, but it's probably looking at the humans thinking the same thing. It's like, what are these things? I'm just going to faint. And then you have the snow leopards here just playing on the side of the mountain like it's nothing, like it's a playground. Like, oh my gosh, could you imagine setting your foot even on sort of remotely that ledge? I mean, these guys are masters. They've been doing this since birth. And then we have this little guy coming down to rescue his friend here that's got stuck in the mud, and he's going to figure out a way. He's going to figure out a way to help his friend. He's just not going to leave this guy behind.
No, and again, compassion is not something that's only in humans, and as we know, a lot of times, unfortunately, there's a lack of compassion amongst humans. Again, the soul is consciousness itself, and all of us are fractals from the one source. So we are just at different levels of exploration. We are just in different vehicles. But when you see source, which is pure love, in the eyes and in the actions, in this case, of another conscious entity, then we need to see that, again, there is one consciousness which is exploring its creation through and just numerous different forms. It's a beautiful thing, really.
It is truly beautiful, and it's magical to watch.
As always, guys, thanks for your support. We couldn't do it without your support. Much love, Source bless, and namaste.
Namaste.